stallions. It's me, your ever-lovable, dangerous, stunting little stallion. I know, it's weird. Hold on, let me do this. Maybe bring it up a little bit more. There you are. Aside from my lack of handlebars, let me show you something that, honestly, I'm surprised none of y'all know. If you're like my mom or my dad, here in Wisconsin, they have Spectrum, as well as Xfinity. They also have Xfinity in Florida. I'm going to show you something that you're probably unaware of. Let me show you. Of course, make sure to call. Call your provider to see if it's available in your area. Some providers call it Cablecast. Some will call it DAC. Digital Audio Channel. I want to preface this by making sure you call your provider. Before you do anything, before you waste your time, call your provider before you do anything. And see if DAC, Digital Audio Channels, or Cablecast is in your area. Before I continue, you might think, oh, cable. No. I want to preface this with a few things you are going to need. Let me show you. If you want to do digital audio channels or cablecast, there's one radio that I know of that does work with this. Let me flip you around. Pardon my oxygen mask over there. Yeah, you don't need to see my Maxwell House coffee. Okay, please don't hurt me. You're gonna need this particular model of radio. Or, if you're like me and you're in a group home, it is absolutely well worth the $400 or $500 to get a Tascam unit. These are regular radios that fit in a server cabinet or audio equipment cabinet. Before you do anything, the first thing you gotta do is call your provider. That's the first thing you gotta do because not all providers have this service. Don't buy one of these and assume it's gonna work. Make sure to make a phone call and ask before you spend your money. Some regions have DAC. Some regions have DAC and Cablecast. And in some regions, they have Cablecast but not DAC. If you have straight up Cablecast, you don't even need a radio like this. You could go to the thrift store like Goodwill and get a regular stereo. If you're like me and you are on Spectrum or Comcast, you're going to need this particular model. Or the Tascam rack, or the Tascam audio cabinet player, which has a built-in CD player and a built-in AM/FM radio, plus it also comes with the ability to play flash drives and, believe, big, large SD cards up to 64 gigabytes. Anyway, Here's how you set this up. Assuming you've already called your provider and you got whatever you needed taken care of, you're going to need one of those. It's called a splitter. Where the cable comes in, you're going to put that into the in on the splitter. This is where spectrum comes in. You're going to want to have one wire going to your modem, and then the other wire goes to your radio. Here in the U.S., it is illegal for cable companies to encrypt their local channels. So that would be Fox, ABC, PBS, the stuff that you would get if you had an outdoor antenna. If that's the case, and you have cable internet, you can get strictly your local channels, the same ones that you get through an antenna, off a cable for free. They cannot legally encrypt those channels because there are people out there like me in a freaking facility where tornado warnings hit, the internet goes down, but television remains operational. It's weird. I know. So, just like you do with the modem, you're going to need to... Now, if you're in a facility, you probably should call maintenance. Before you do this, if you have the tools, you can absolutely do this. So, then I'm one of those clients that has tools. You're going to use this tool. This tool will make sure you have a tight connection on your radio. Most radios offer a selector. It will probably be in this position. Flip the position to the right. Make sure when you do this to unplug it from the wall. Nothing is more fun than getting a big electrical shock. Ow! Okay, now you've got it hooked up. There you go. So, what do you actually get? And why would I want to do this? Okay, so if you're in an apartment, you probably know it's illegal. Illegal to have an antenna. It's against your lease. So companies like Spectrum know this. And companies like Xfinity also know, hey, we're technically licensed by the FCC to provide internet, phone, and some channels. So, the FCC says, hey, you have to have working 911 service at all times. Even if you have no service, you should still be able to call 911. That's an FCC rule. In the U.S., many providers are required by law to provide some sort of emergency lifeline for those who don't have television service. Some providers encrypt everything, including the locals, and that's illegal. But many providers also know that getting a house is like trying to find out if Allah is real or not. You're always going to be searching for something that does not exist. Just my opinion. Anyway, just like that magical place that Muhammad talks about, well, to each their own. As for Spectrum customers, at least here in this region, they're required to provide a service of radio. Many providers don't like doing this, but it's a little hidden feature that most people don't know. So you got your cable radio service, and you're like, alright, cool. So what do I actually get with cable radio? Well, in the US, many people can't buy a house. Housing shortage and financial reasons. It's just not possible to get a house. At all. Even people that are business owners, a lot of them do rent. It's cheaper to rent than it is to own your own home. Or you could be like me, and you're in a group home or assisted living. Good luck trying to get an antenna outside. You know what they'll say? Hey Siri, call 911. That's what they would do. And then guess who gets a fine for having a fully blown supermassive antenna sitting outside? The person who's leasing that did not get approval to have a 40-foot pole sitting out getting TV. And yes, your landlords can call the cops for it. So, most people don't know this. Providers like Spectrum know this. And this radio is HD radio, which is actually quite funny because HD radio can actually pick up DAC, digital audio channels. And this radio treats it as if you're listening to a straight up FM station. But in reality, if you go to a TV like that, you'll find out that they're actually TV channels. For example, as you're about to find out, because this is an HD radio, somehow these radios can pick up DAC, digital audio channels. And it can also pick up your local FM stations. But when you're hooked up to cable, you would think you wouldn't get anything at all. No, that is wrong. In the US, many providers are required to provide a simulcast of your local radio stations. And therefore, we're going to do a band scan so you can see how cable radio actually works. And before I continue, I only have 4 cable radio stations at Spectrum's head end here in Madison. I have another 4 in Whitewater and 10 in an area between Oshkosh and Beaver Dam. In other words, that's 28. That doesn't include the Talking House transmitter, which, thankfully for me, we don't have a fire alarm. I removed the fire alarm, so that way I can run the Talking House model without the word attention. Fire. We don't like hearing the word attention. Fire in room 1. Even though there's no fire. So I got frustrated and I removed the fire alarm. The group home is not happy about that. But anyway, let's do a band scan. And you'll be surprised as to what you get with cable radio. And many providers offer this for free because it is considered a lifeline. I sure hope you can hear that on the camera.
no evidence that there is a second camera. And among the 5 killed included a Palestinian freelance photojournalist, Mariam Abu.
Yes, you're actually picking up radio stations through cablecast, and DAC. You can actually tell that this radio does not understand what it's picking up. The radio thinks that it's a HD2 or an HD radio station. No! This is DAC, digital audio channels. When we do a channel scan on our TV, we will see it say 88.7-1-2 and so forth. This radio is picking up DAC, digital audio channels, also known as cablecast FM. We have absolutely no antenna, strictly from Spectrum.
Thunders in mine, the voice of the Lord.
Cablecast's having some problems, I guess.
With me, Ron Kelly, and Elliot.
Really?
Really? Free.
I also need some oil.
Would you like an oil filter with that?
Yeah. How much is that?
Free with the oil.
Free. Really?
Really? Free. It's part of A to Z saving.
Welcome back to Nightlight with Pete Schwaba and Greg Bach. My name.
Show podcast.
Fish on. Explore over 350 booths, seminars from Jimmy Houston.
As we can see, it's pulling up full HD radio alongside digital audio channels or cable radio. Yes, that's right. We're picking up actual radio, not through an antenna, but through Spectrum, alongside their cable radio service, known as digital audio channels. And they're using, believe it or not, to run a digital audio channel, they're using one of these. This little guy is one of God's wonders. This is a modulator, but you are able to use it as a DAC. Digital audio. I'm actually setting this one up later today, and this one is going to carry Crosshop Radio's second HD channel, which in this case is Boost. So there's 2 flavors of 95.9. There's WHOP HD1. And that one would be Crosshop Radio. And then Boost is on 95.9 HD2. And for those who don't know what Boost is, it is a Christian hip-hop station, very much like Crosshop Radio. But it has artists that many people already know, like Triple E, NF, Frank Forrest, and more. So Boost It's going to be on HD 2. In this case, most people don't know this, but 94.9 WOLX has 2 stations on the same frequency. Classic Hits, WOLX, and then HD2 is Channel Q. As the slogan is, we're queer and we're here. Proud to be Channel Q. And I'll show you Channel Q in just a second.
And that means we've reached the tip of the cruise ship and the number 1 song of the day. These are GAVO's favorite songs, and the
Surprisingly, some of the licensed LPFMs do show up on Spectrum's Cablecast or DAC, but it's weak and it sucks. It might also be due to the possibility of heavy bleeding. How do I know that we're bleeding very heavily? Watch this. And here's a shocker. We have another HD station to listen to.
Swear it was like damn, I'm finally back to bed screaming. I did not go outside.
/policy/terms of service. I've got good news and bad news. Here's the bad news. Most protein bars are packed with sugar and unpronounceable
battle for who has the most.
I feel bad because you missed your flight, and then we had one more night. I got nothing, I got some.
507-9701. Tax Relief Advocates.
Or has it got me?
Look at college basketball right now. In college,
Searching for my lost sugar song.
Now that's a real crappy thing. So the deck for the U is not even packing RDS. But funny enough, when we go in a car, RDS shows up. What the hell?
World record holder, hosting elite flag football tournaments nationwide for boys, girls, high school girls, and adults. Join the movement. Visit iflag.org to...
He gives them a truckload of money, and he says, hey, here's the conspiracy theory.
When we first learn about where dramatic tension comes from,
It hosts premier flag football tournaments nationwide for boys, girls, high school girls, and adults.
Not Marie or Emily or Doris.
set in a groove that led down to the entrance of the cave. It'd be wedged in place by a piece of wood or a smaller
Matter? Call Cord today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL or visit CordellCordell.com.
Oddly enough, this one has HD radio, but it doesn't have the plus. What gives?
Several hours later, James has even caught the attention of his mother-in-law, and she...
Good luck finding out who the dad is. I mean, come on, what are the odds?
Now, here's a weird one for our listeners. The weirdest thing that I've ever encountered is that Spectrum does pack medium wave through their service. However, in order to take advantage of medium wave, you do have to have an adapter for this radio, and it costs $5 at Menards. 300 ohm to 75 ohm. That is a must, or you're about to bust. You don't want to be busting anywhere. But we'll still technically do a channel scan. Even though I doubt it's going to be anything productive, it's probably going to be a bust. I'm gonna try a weird little stunt. Ah, shit. Try this. See if that helps anything.
You are putting your life at risk to tell their story. And you have time. How much you love me, enjoy watching.
Maybe a few clouds here or there, otherwise...
I think you might...
Well, folks, I was correct. That was a bust. That was totally not worth it to try, but we got like 5 stations that are local, and some of these are even in our backyard. And it was nothing but just pure bleeding, most of it. We couldn't even pick up my talking house unit. Well, I would say, oh, Lord mercy, that's a bust. FM at least works. Now, this radio is a little bit nice, because you can actually plug your Barracks X streamer into it and listen to your Barracks box for this. Why anybody would want to do that, I don't know. But each your own little nose cone. The dentist's nose cone is obviously not included for legal reasons, because it is a joke to say to each their own nose cone is a play on words. Anyway, there you go. That's what it looks like on cable radio. DAC and just straight up cable. Yeah, cable radio.